I used to think the worst part of owning a pool was skimming leaves and paying for chlorine. But no, the real nightmare was my neighbor Karen and her little army of freeloaders who treated my backyard like their private water park. And the day her golden salon hair turned into a frizzy orange bird's nest right there in my pool, that was the day I knew I finally had the upper hand. I worked 20 years in construction to get this house, this pool, this piece of peace I thought I'd earned. Brick facade, shaded deck, the water shimmering under the Texas sun. It wasn't Beverly Hills, but it was mine, and I was proud of it. For a while it really did feel like paradise, until Karen moved next door. She was the kind of neighbor people warn you about, but you never believe until it's too late. Early 50s bottle blonde roots showing a voice that carried like a siren across the cul-de-sac. She had once sat on the HOA board, got kicked out for conduct unbecoming, which was a polite way of saying she was a tyrant. Clipboard in hand, barking orders about trash bins and lawn heights as if she ran the whole community. At first I tried to play it cool. Smile, nod, stay out of her way. But Karen wasn't the type to lose interest, she was the type to double down. The signs were subtle at first. Wet footprints near the pool, cheap perfume lingering in the air, a towel I didn't recognize. Then one evening I saw her Karen strutting around my pool in a hot pink swimsuit sipping wine like she was queen of the suburbs. I stepped outside and said, "Karen, this pool's private. I'd appreciate it if you asked first." She laughed in my face. "Oh, don't be ridiculous. We're neighbors. Neighbors share." From then on it escalated. She brought her friends, turned my backyard into a spring break party. Loud music, White Claws popping chip bags floating across the lawn. Once I even found a slice of soggy pizza bobbing in the pool. She smirked when I confronted her. "Don't be selfish," she sneered, and that word selfish burned worse than chlorine in the eyes. I'd worked my back raw to afford this home, built the deck with my own hands, and somehow I was the selfish one. The final straw came when she posted on Facebook. A selfie in my pool, arms raised in victory, captioned, "Best free amenity. HOA privilege. Sharing is caring." That was it. That was the fuse lit. I started documenting everything, photos of footprints, videos of her sneaking through the side gate, screenshots of her smug posts. But late at night, staring at the ceiling, doubt crept in. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I should just let it go. I thought about filing a complaint with the HOA, but then I remembered Karen thrived in that circus. She'd twist it, make herself the victim, paint me as the cranky neighbor hoarding his pool like a dragon. I felt cornered, powerless, like nothing I did would stop her. And then one evening in the shed, I noticed a bottle of industrial-strength bleach. I usually kept it for scrubbing stains off the patio. The warning label glared at me, and suddenly, like lightning, the idea hit. I didn't need the cops. I didn't need the HOA. All I needed was a plan. Not dangerous, not permanent, but humiliating enough to finally make them stop. For the first time in weeks, I felt alive. I researched late into the night pool forums, chemical mishaps, horror stories about what happens when you overdo the chlorine. Dry hair, irritated skin, faded swimsuits. Exactly what I needed. So I started planning. Cameras set up for proof. Timing down to the minute. That Friday night, while the neighborhood slept, I poured bleach into the pool, stirred it with the net, and whispered, "Enjoy your spa day, Karen." The next afternoon, right on schedule, Karen strutted in with her posse. Tote bags, sunglasses, bottles of cheap wine. They dove in like it was Club Med. I watched from the monitor, heart pounding. For 10 minutes it was the usual scene splashes, laughter music. Then it started. One woman rubbed her arm, frowning. Another scratched her shoulders. And then Karen shrieked, "My hair? Oh my God, what's happening to my hair?" She clawed at her golden mane as it frizzed and discolored before my eyes. Her friends scrambled out, skin-blotchy suits faded, tripping over each other in panic. It was chaos, and it was glorious. I leaned back in my chair, sipping a beer, grinning like a madman. I had it all on video, her trespassing, her meltdown, her humiliation. That night she stormed past me on the sidewalk, hair hidden under a scarf, fury in her eyes. "Something's wrong with your pool," she snapped. I raised an eyebrow. Funny. Works fine for me. For the first time there was no smirk, no superiority, just raw embarrassment. But Karen wasn't finished. She never was. At the next HOA meeting she stood up mid-agenda and shrieked about a dangerous pool in the neighborhood, claiming she'd suffered serious irritation. I almost laughed. She was trying to flip the script, blame me, make herself the victim. But I was ready. I stood, slowly pulled out my phone and said, "Karen, fascinating how you'd have first-hand knowledge of my pool's chemicals." Then I connected my footage to the screen. The whole room watched Karen sneaking in, partying, and then thrashing as her hair fried in real time. The room erupted gasps, laughter, whispers. Even Michael, the HOA president, shook his head. "Karen, this clearly shows trespassing. You'll be fined and you're banned from community amenities for 6 months." Her face turned crimson. She sputtered about privacy, about being taken out of context, but the damage was done. For once she wasn't feared. She was a punchline. She tried to fight back gossip, pity stories, even calling the police, but every time the evidence shut her down. An officer literally told her, "Maybe stop breaking into your neighbor's yard." Neighbors mocked her openly. Kids rode past her house chanting, "Pool witch, pool witch." She tried throwing one last backyard party, but her pool was filthy, her supporters gone, and she ended up standing alone with a trembling wine glass. The final collapse came at the summer block party. Karen showed up in a wide-brim hat, clutching her clipboard, barking about scooters and parking spaces. But instead of fear, the crowd laughed. One dad shouted, "Careful, Karen, he might need to bleach the pavement after that scooter leaves marks." Everyone roared. Her face went scarlet. Michael stepped in, calm but firm. "Karen, you're no longer on the board. You have no authority here. You should consider yourself lucky you're not facing legal charges." And that was it. The crown slipped. She dropped her clipboard, turned, and stormed off while the whole street cheered. And me, I didn't need to celebrate. I'd already won. I'd stood up, I'd set my boundary, and I'd watched the tyrant of the neighborhood crumble under the weight of her own arrogance. Respect isn't given, it's taken back when someone crosses the line.